Hey everybody, it's Miss J and I'm back with video 2 of my series, High School Planning. We're going to discuss course catalog and more specifically course descriptions. At this point in the process, it is valuable to know how to read course descriptions. If you are a homeschooler, lots of homeschoolers decide to write their own, or they borrow from their shadow school or even their curriculum provider. So check there first so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then of course you can modify that course description as you so fit, so long as it mirrors what you're actually going to teach, or if you outsource it, what that teacher is going to teach and what the student's going to learn. So you have a little bit more range there. You will be looking at course descriptions to either copy or to modify. Or you can decide to ditch both and write your own. If you are a non-homeschooler, you'll be looking at the course catalog and course descriptions to determine if your child still wants to take the course from the master list that we created from video 1 as they highlighted the courses that they were interested in. Before I get started, I want to make a statement of self-advocacy. Please, please, please teach your children or your students what you are learning in these blogs and vlogs. It is so important for them to know how to do this for themselves. So obviously they are still minors. If you are where I'm at, you have a rising freshman and you're using your summertime to plan and prep them. If you have a rising sophomore or junior, still applicable. You just have to do more at once. But you're going to delegate this. Obviously, you're still the parent, they're still the minor, but particularly if they are college bound and are going to go to college immediately after high school graduation, the process is very similar in terms of being able to plan what your undergraduate experience looks like. It's very similar to planning your high school experience. You have a school who has a course catalog and there's a program that tells you what you need to take in order to graduate, when you need to take it, how many credits you need to take in which subject areas, etc. And so their ability to do that for themselves as a college student is key. And if you teach them how to do this for themselves in high school, they can naturally and easily transfer those skills and that knowledge to be able to do that for themselves as an undergraduate, which is very important. I speak a little bit about why that's important in the blog. I'm not going to review all of that. I also wanted to mention FERPA. Lots of parents don't find out about FERPA until they're on the other side of FERPA. And so I talk a little bit about that on the blog. So I don't want to, hash it all out again. However, I do want to say, when your student turns 18, assuming they're going to college, they turn 18, the rights transfer from you, the parent, the guardian, the custodian, to them. And the school is not going to communicate to you about their learning or academic experience too much. There are certain things they won't be able to share with you once that student turns 18. There are some exceptions. That's a different story, different day. And your student can sign a statement that allows you to have the same access and knowledge that they do. But I'm going to encourage that unless there's a special circumstance, and that can exist, they shouldn't have to. They're 18 and they should know how to do this. They shouldn't be in a position where they're 18, 19, 20, and they don't know how to navigate their academic experience or their learning on their own. They should be able to do this. Of course, they can still call you and ask you questions, but they shouldn't need you to come in for them, okay? again, barring special circumstances. So use this time to teach them because it's the same process. For the most part, use this time to teach them so they can easily transfer those skills when they get to college and be able to be in charge of their learning, a master of their own learning and academic experience, I say, and be able to self-advocate academically, educationally, if that should be the case throughout their 4-year tenure or 5 or 6-year tenure as an undergraduate student. Okay, let's get started. Course descriptions. I think I left off in the blog with some language that I wanted to be able to explain, and I'm going to turn the camera around in order to explain that. Before I do, I want to go over some pieces that we're going to talk about within the broader topic of course catalog and course description. So I stated in the blog that the graduation requirement is that chart, but it's not only that chart. There's some other language. And you'll see in the blog I use quotes to address other language. We'll talk about that. We will also define those terms, and I'll list them here so you have them. They're also listed in the blog, and that is course title, course type, course quantity, or also unit quantity you'll hear, course sequence, and community service. Those are also some other language or nuances with graduation requirements that you'll need to know. And so I'm going to turn the camera over and you'll be looking at the graduation chart from the DC website. So you need to be looking at yours for your state or school site so that we can look at the chart as a refresher and then also look at some of that other language. And then I'm going to show you what that means in science, and science is my subject of choice to use as an example in these teaching videos. Let me turn the camera around and I'll be right back. I'm back and you're looking at the academic graduation requirements for DC, the chart. And so this video is going to talk more about that other language that I mentioned, as well as define some terms that I used in the blog and that I mentioned earlier in this video. And so we're going to do that. So we already understand this chart. The purpose of me showing it to you is just to refresh you and also to remind you that the graduation requirements aren't just this chart. There's also other language. So I'm going to scroll and we are going to read that other language. Okay. For all students entering 9th grade, beginning 2009, 2010, this is important because the school districts or the Department of Education updates things based on entering freshmen for a particular year, and you need to make sure you understand where your student falls. Sometimes they say beginning this year, and it's that way until they change it again, and so as long as there hasn't been a change, your student will fall within there. Sometimes they say through a particular school year, and so you need to understand that. But basically, one of the sciences should be a biology. We already know that. They put it up there in the chart. The next is that at least 2 of the 24 Carnegie units for graduation must include a college level or a career preparatory course. I will explain that once we move over to the course catalog, which is another reason why it's good to become familiar with it. And then the next one is all students enrolled in Algebra 1 no later than 10th grade. And this is beginning with the 2016-2017 school year. And it's cut off there, I apologize. They must enroll in algebra no later than 10th grade. So this is important because course sequence is a thing when you're mapping. This planning series is going to get you all the way until you creating a 4-year course map across their high school tenure. So that's important. And then last, the evening program won't apply for us. We're not going to be doing night school. And then last, 100 hours of community service, which again is another Another good thing to know, because you're going to have to build it across a 4-year plan, which equals 25 hours per grade, and most schools will divide that up. And it's not a situation where you can just have 100 by senior year. You must have earned 25 by the end of freshman year. You must have earned 50 by the end of sophomore year. So don't just look at, this is why you need to have the state graduation requirements as well as the school, because the state is just saying you need 100 hours, and that's true, but the school may determine how that's divvied up. And so you can be in a situation when you have a freshman who's taking the courses that they need in order to be deemed a sophomore, but doesn't have all 25 hours. And so the school is not going to put that student at sophomore status until they have 24 hours. You have to have that completed as a freshman in order to move up to the next class level. So that's very important. Okay, give me 1 second to switch screens to the catalog, and we will talk about the other language and that vocabulary in context on a particular course catalog. This is not the course catalog for our school specifically, but I'm using it for example's sake. I'll be right back. I am back, and you are looking at a course catalog for a particular high school in DC. Some states, again, you can download the entire statewide catalog. It would be a lot of courses, but you can look just to see what the options are. And then, of course, as I explained in the blog, each school adopts their own from the statewide course list, and not all states have that statewide course list available for download on their site for the public. So you have to do a little research, do a little homework, and see what's available to you in your state/school. So I've already gone over the other language, and so now let's define some terms. So course title. So course title, in this case, environmental science. And one of the reasons you need to know course title is because graduation requirements can stipulate that you take a particular course. In our case, for science, one of those course titles must be biology. There is no way around it. So this is how some of the nuance within the graduation requirement. It is not enough just to say my student needs 4 units of science, because course title is going to determine one of those units. In our case, that's biology. Next that I listed was course type. Course type can be a few things. I'm pretty sure we'll get a little bit more specific with it as we continue with the series, but for now, I'm just using science as my subject example in order for you to simply grasp, in order for me to simply explain. And then if we need to transfer that to other subjects or other subject categories as you plan and design your course maps, I will be as specific as I can, and if you have questions, just let me know. So course type, at least in terms of science, and we're gonna move on to biology. At least in terms of science, the type is a lab. So we need to have 3 lab sciences, and as I explained, this particular science, biology, is also a lab course, and so it will be one and the same for us. Quantity, how many units in that subject do you need? For science, for us, it's 4. So you need to understand course title, course type, course quantity, and also course sequence. I will explain course sequence a little bit more later in this video, because you need to see some nuance. Sometimes the course sequence is baked within the graduation requirement. Sometimes the course sequence lives in a particular course a student wants to take. And so you have to, when you're doing planning, you are looking at graduation requirements, but you're also looking at what the school offers and when they offer it, frequency, and how it fits in with other courses, the sequence, so you can build the most optimal plan. Okay, and then I want to continue to teach you how to read the course catalog before I switch over to explain some more nuance with course sequence. So here, you'll read the description. So one of the goals that I have for you and myself at the end of this video, or the end of the blog, if you're keeping up with that as well, is to have a refined highlighted list. And so what the student will be doing is reading the course descriptions and deciding, am I still interested? Because remember, in video 1 or in step 1, they highlighted just to get familiar with the different subject categories, making sure you understand what's required and which subject category it's required in, and selecting courses just based on title. I'm interested because the title speaks to me and or it's required of me. But here we're gonna get a little bit more specific, and they're gonna have to read the course descriptions and decide, are you still interested, at least in the courses that you are able to choose. The courses that are required, still have them read it so they can understand what they're gonna learn, but they can't say, oh, I'm not interested. You know, they have to take the class. So in this case, here's a description. I won't read it for you. It's captured there where you can do that. Most course catalogs or course description list is going to have the information on the left side, which is the most important. That is understanding the academic level. Each school will have whatever their code is. For us, this RG just means that it's, you know, a general education course. It'll include if there's any prerequisites. That's good to know. I'll go a little bit more into that later. It'll include what, if it's a college level or a college prep. Now, this is going to be specific for us, DC, or it'll be state specific. That's based on what they ask for. So because our graduation requirement says that at least 2 of their 24 units has to be a CL or a CP, college level or career prep, then the school kind of does a little bit of that work for you and tells you if it's going to count that way or not. And so in this case, no, he is not earning any CL or CP credit by taking biology. And then it's going to let me know if it meets the graduation requirement, and if so, in what area. So thanks, lets me know that it's meeting my bio graduation credit. And then of course it tells me how much credit it's worth, which is 1. So that you want to be able to read that. It's going to look different, course catalog or course description list to course catalog. But nonetheless, it will have this pertinent information, and your student needs to be able to read it, and you need to be able to read it and understand it as well. So I'm going to transition to the course roster from the highlighted list that I shared in video 1. I'm going to reshare it and show you what it looks like now that he went through and read the course description and either added some courses or took away some courses based on that. Give me 1 second and I'll be right back. I am back, and you are looking at the course listings as they have been highlighted. This is a sample. I just screenshot a sample of the list. We have a full list that's been printed and scuffed up and all kind of highlighters for more science courses than this. So this is just to show you an example. I left off the blog with the things that you needed to have completed or have understood before this step would be considered done. And the first was to understand the other language and have it accounted for on the master highlighted list. This is done here. The second was to read the course description for each course. We've done that, at least for science, right? You're gonna go bit by bit by bit. He's done that, we both have. And then the third was to write 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, while reviewing graduation requirements, considering the other language, and reading the course descriptions. So we've done that, and you see a little bit of change here. He's gotten rid of earth science after reading the course description. He was like, sounds very similar to what I did in junior high, and I'm good on that. That was his feedback. So fine, get rid of it. There's nothing mandating that you take earth science. Also, earth science wasn't a lab science, and we needed that. So this is why you're going through it as you review grad recs, consider other language, and reading course descriptions. And then we also got rid of forensic science. If you remember, that was highlighted in the previous video. It's not going to be offered. Well, it's offered. You can't see the title of the roster, but this is the roster for 2020, 2021. It's going to be offered this year, but he can't take it this year as a freshman. We don't know when it's going to be offered again. So it was taken off. And so now we have these 4 courses, and he's put 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've had to write that out based on sequence. So let's go through that. Biology is a freshman level course. It could be taken in sophomore year. But since he has to have it by course title in the graduation requirements, we're just going to get it out of the way freshman year. So he chose 1. And I explained to him, you can take this sophomore year too. He's like, just get out of the way 1. So see, let the students decide. This is a little bit of that personalization. They're going to know kind of what they want to take and when, and you're going to see some more personalization come into play a little bit later as well. And so environmental science, 2, it's no reason he can't take this. It's a lab science. It's worth 1 credit. It's in the science subject category. Nothing is prohibiting him from taking it sophomore year. Grade 2. Honors physics, 3. And I had to give him a little insight here. I will share a piece here, but we'll do a more formal lesson later. And that is, you want to line your science and your math up. So I had him consider, well, look what you'll be taking for math, and see if you want to take this sophomore or junior year. I'm walking him through that because he's going to have to guide himself through that same process on his own as a college student. And I want him to be able to do that for himself. And then finally for marine science. So here's a little bit what I was talking about with the course sequence. So we've done course title, course type, course quantity, course sequence. The graduation requirement is not stipulating that he takes this course 12th grade, but the school is, based on the list, the catalog, the roster, the course descriptions list, what have you, that we have here. So this is why it's important too. The school is saying they can only take this class as a senior. So then by default it's 4. And that's not the state saying that, and it's not a graduation requirement, be it state or school. It's just a sequence issue for how the school rosters out or rolls out their courses. So if he wants to take marine biology, he can. He just can't take it until he's a senior. So that knocks that out. That was also some of the issue with the forensic science. Well, 1, we don't even know when it's going to be offered, but let's just say that it was. Neither one of them are lab sciences. So he can't take both because 3 of them have to be lab. So then he had to choose. And well, for him, I'd rather marine than forensics. Well, great, because you only have 1 non-lab to take, which would likely be taken in your senior year anyways. And marine is a non-lab and it's only seniors. So boom, in the 4th year. And that made that easy for us. So this is what that will look like. So at the end, again, you understand your other language. You've accounted for it in your master list. So you see how our master highlighted list has changed from step 1 to step 2. He's read the course descriptions, and we have written 1, 2, and 3, 4 for where we think he'll likely take the course. This can still undergo some changes. We're not done, but we're just going bit by bit. I am going to speak a little bit more about course descriptions if you are a homeschooler. in just a moment, so give me some time to turn the camera around again and I'll give you some insight there. Hi, I'm back. So this part of the video is going to address homeschoolers in terms of course descriptions, because you will be either copying, modifying, or writing on your own your course descriptions. And that's fine. You're going to want to keep a copy of all your course descriptions and maybe make a note to which grade level it is. You're going to want to do that for yourself and have it all together, saved in one file on your computer, or print it out and saved in one place if you have a hard copy, just in case your student ever returns to school at some point in high school and is asked for it, or they're asked for it as they are applying to colleges as a homeschool high school graduate. So just however you do it, whether you write, modify, copy, keep it all in one place as courses that your student took. So freshman year, my student took this science, let's say it's biology, and this is the course description. Again, as long as that course description mirrors exactly what's being taught and learned, you're fine. I'm going to show you an example. This is, I started writing course descriptions beginning in, I started in grade 6 just to get myself used to it. And then in grade 7, I started keeping a record. Everything grade 7 and above, I kept records as if my student was going to high school / in high school, just to get me more familiar with the process. So I'm going to show you a course description from grade 7, so 2 years ago. I'm just keeping science as my example subject, and then we took agricultural science, and I mostly wrote this. I modified a few pieces from an agricultural science curriculum that we were using. Well, not really the curriculum, one of the books, because I had designed this course myself. And so I made mention in the blog post to be detailed. And some people don't like a lot of details, so they want to save themselves the time. And so if you're not a person that's going to be detailed for every single course, that's fine. I just want to encourage you to be detailed on the core courses. And then you can relax a little bit and be more brief, if you will, on the description in some of the elective courses. The core courses are going to be what schools care about the most. Again, whether it's in high school because your student now has to re-enter high school for whatever reason, or they're applying to college. And all colleges won't ask for it, but you want to have it ready just in case they do. And so I'm going to, I just have it in the folder here. So I'm going to just show you. This was my course description for agricultural science. It does not have to be that detailed. It could be more brief, but I wanted to capture exactly what we were learning, what I was teaching, so that no one who ever had to look at it had any doubt or any question. So I kind of write on the side of, don't ask me nothing. I put it all right here. But, feel free to do it according to your own teaching style and just how you normally present information, academic records, etc. This is sitting on a syllabus, and we'll talk about syllabi later in another post, but please keep your records. That's the best thing I can tell you to do as a homeschooler. Now that we are transitioning, I mentioned we're in the finale of homeschooling. We're still not done, but now that we're transitioning, schools have been asking for certain documentation, either in the application process, or they ask for it now that they have selected my son to be a student. They're asking for it in the registration / enrollment process. And I have gotten so much feedback saying these records are excellent. These records are great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to shoot a separate video about that. But the best thing I can tell you is to keep good records. So as you're creating your course descriptions, be as detailed as you can, particularly in the core, and make sure it exists. Make sure you have a course description for each course that you plan on your child being enrolled in, whether you're outsourcing it, whether you're doing it online, whether you're teaching it yourself, whether you're hybrid or combo teaching with another educator or another adult, even if that other adult is their other parent. Get clear about the description and make sure it exists for each course. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about high school planning, whether you are a homeschooler or a non-homeschooler. I have been rendering graduation coaching services for I don't know how long now, for years. And so if you are interested in hiring me as a mentor in order to guide you through the process, I will leave my email address in the description box so you can reach out to me via email if you like. I'm going to share everything that I have learned or that I know as best as I can in a YouTube format, but I realize some people want the mentorship. They want to have their hand held through the process. I can be one of those people depending on the task that I'm tackling, so I understand that. And so if that's you, shoot me an email. We will take it from there. Some families have reached out to me and they've asked, can you just do it? So here's my spiel on that. I would prefer to be hired to show you how to do it, because if you can do it, you can teach others, and you can definitely impart the lessons and the education and even the wisdom into your student, the current student who you need to be high school planning for, as well as any others. And so I want to empower you and equip you to do it for yourself. But I do understand that some people just need the service done for them. And so if that's you, same thing, shoot me an email and I will begin the process to assist you. The summertime is the best time to be able to do something like that. So if you are a family who wants it to be done for you, please use the summer to your advantage and help me help you. If you are an interested family or interested client, potential client who wants to learn how to do it for yourself, I'll teach you, and then you will have other questions and things to consider throughout the 4-year tenure, because things are we build a plan to have a plan. It will never look exactly that way, and that's okay, but it will look mostly that way, and that's why we plan. Because different responsibilities, rewards, opportunities will come up for your student, and it will require you to make some shifting or adjusting to the plan, and that's perfectly fine. And I can be available to assist you as you go, year to year as well. So I hope you learned something in this video. It is my honor and my joy to be available to teach my community, particularly within the academic arena, how to navigate this a little bit more intently and wisely. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, peace.